What is going on, everybody? So, I hope you had a good summer so far. I recently took a road trip across the country and celebrated someone's birthday, and we played both the Nintendo Switch 2 and the Legion Go with SteamOS installed. Now, this isn't a full comparison video, but I just wanted to tell you the experience we had based on which handhelds were available to us. Now, the person who had a birthday is kind of a non-gamer. They haven't owned a system since the PlayStation 4. So, I'm the one who does all the catching up in that group, and I had the Switch 2 and the Legion Go that day because I knew that they wanted to play Mortal Kombat 11, but not the Mortal Kombat 11 with the Nintendo Switch graphics. So I had a backup Mortal Kombat 11 in my Legion Go, and we ended up playing that a lot more, and it was a lot more immersive because of how much better it looked. But they seemed to enjoy the interface customizations and everything that was at your disposal when you use something like a Legion Go with SteamOS installed. With the Nintendo Switch 2, they were mostly surprised that the UI looked exactly the same. I feel like that's the main feature that really hurts me the most that was untouched by Nintendo. I would have liked to see some form of customization when it came to icons, background themes, even adding some music to the menu would have made it a lot more charming and memorable. But I feel like these days with PC handhelds like Legion Go, Steam Deck, you can fully customize the system to the point it does in fact have more personality than even the Nintendo Switch 2. And well, we played a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 games. Regardless of the lack of features in the Switch 2, the first party games still stuck with us, but we ended up playing a lot of the games that I had available on the Legion Go because I had more up-to-date games. And the simple fact that it's not exactly optimized, so you will get the entire game playing on this Legion Go, and I find that to be more impressive than something that was specifically optimized, something that wasn't optimized and that's working actually very well with this handheld system. Now, a lot of people say that they're for different customers, but here I am showing non-gamers a Nintendo Switch 2 and a Legion Go, and they naturally gravitated to the Legion Go. I feel like the only thing the Legion Go is missing are first-party games that provide some form of multiplayer experiences. Of course, we have fighting games like Street Fighter 6, which of course we were playing mostly on the Nintendo Switch 2 because it's a new game. I just bought it, so we're playing it on this. But that's not to say that the people I played it with didn't notice the graphical changes from a Nintendo Switch 2 to something like a PC handheld. The power difference between the Z1 Extreme and the Nintendo Switch 2 are noticeable. Street Fighter 6 still had some muddy textures, and Mortal Kombat 11 we just couldn't even look at. The second it came on, I was like, I have a backup in my Legion Go if you want to play the actual version of Mortal Kombat 11, and they didn't even hesitate. They said, yes, let's do whatever we can do to play this on the TV. So I simply had one cord that attached to the Legion Go and the TV and a power supply. It took me a little while to find this in Best Buy, but I eventually found something that cost like $25. That wasn't even a dock. All it was a cable that linked from the TV to the Legion Go or any other PC handheld directly. And this works for all three of my PC handhelds. So naturally, we actually found the setup for the Legion Go a lot more convenient since there was only one cable that attached to everything, opposed to that semi-convoluted dock that the Nintendo Switch 2 comes with. That dock made a lot of frames fall down, let's just say that. I had to fit the dock in certain places and things were falling down. We had to move the TV since the TV was mounted on top of all of the picture frames. I was catching picture frames, putting them in other places. It was pretty much horrible. It was like a game of mousetrap. But with the Legion Go, we didn't drop any frames. Maybe we got used to the setup. But it seemed like that one cable didn't really get in the way of a lot of the moving of the items away from the system itself. And especially the fact that I had the Legion Go, so it takes up a smaller footprint when you detach the controllers from it. It's just a tablet, and it's actually 60% smaller than the footprint that something like a Nintendo Switch 2 would leave behind with it set up into the dock. And all those cables coming out of the back in what it seems to be an exclusively awkward angle. So we played a little bit of Nintendo Switch Sports, which turned out to be okay, but it was way too hot to do anything in the house because this time of year where I am, there's a ton of humidity, so we didn't want to play something that got us in trouble, especially since there was little ones walking around. So I didn't want to smack any kids with the Joy-Con too. But playing the Legion Go and all of the classics that I owned in that library. It's not to say that the Nintendo Switch 2 doesn't have more classics than the Legion Go. It's the fact that all of those modern titles that require a lot more hardware to run properly and look good at the same time managed to work very well on the Legion Go using SteamOS. And SteamOS is a lot more convenient than using something like Windows 11. In fact, I would say it's 100% more convenient, and they could see the difference as well. So yeah, it was a surprising turn of events, but it turns out that the Nintendo Switch 2 seems to be a little less convenient than using something like Legion Go, to the non-gamer anyway. But I feel like sometimes I like to use my Legion Go because it comes with all of those modern titles that I really wish were on the Nintendo Switch too. But of course, it matters how many times we're going to be overcharged for a certain game for other games to come out. So instead of seeing Resident Evil 2 Remake, maybe they might release Resident Evil 3 Remake and sell it for $60, and I might be a little pissed off because of that. So I feel like that's going to happen very soon to test the waters, to see how well games can be optimized for the Nintendo Switch 2, because we all know that if Nintendo doesn't pay enough money, something like Hitman World of Assassination could happen, where the frame rate is just all over the place and the optimization is just no good. Even though channels like Nintendo Life are saying that Hitman World of Assassination is perfect, it's really not. Dock mode is just horrible. I play all the time on my ROG Ally, and that experience is actually perfect. And it seems like it was made for the Z1 Extreme, opposed to something that was actually optimized for a Nintendo console, the Nintendo Switch 2, but it works worse. And there was money put into directly optimizing it for that. But of course, there's still money put into optimizing for a PC handheld or just a PC in general with an AMD chipset. So let's not count out optimization when it comes to all these PC handhelds. I feel like the convenience is neck and neck when it comes to the Switch 2 and the Legion Go using SteamOS right now. But the Legion Go can play a lot more, and it can play something like Cyberpunk 2077 with higher frame rate and resolution and textures comparing to the Switch 2. Yeah guys, have you gone through the same experiences? Have you showed somebody who is a non-gamer PC handheld and then a Nintendo Switch 2? I know I could have made a whole experience out of it, but it was a birthday situation and we were just hanging out. I'm just explaining what happened in just a few hours of playing a game. Yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Later.